And action!
Welcome back, friends, to another video of this mango citrus series kind of thing. Basically, the deals that were going on right now on fruit and produce at my Sam's inspired this video. So today in this video, what I'm going to be making is a mango chutney. And I wanted to do this, one, because Sam's had sales on mangoes and lots of different citrus, but this recipe actually uses mangoes, oranges, lemons, and limes. So let's get into it. So this recipe for mango chutney is coming out of the Ball complete book of home preserving, and so I've never tried mango chutney, nor have I ever tried this recipe, and this will actually be one of the first times too in this series that I am water bath canning. So let's see how it goes. So essentially I wanted to make this, one, because I've been obsessed with mangoes lately. Fits within the theme of this produce and the sales that were going on, but also I have seen a couple of different people talk about this, and actually I think there was a Canuary video that was just made recently on mango chutney, and so it felt very fitting that I was about to do this as well after watching that video. So mango chutney, I guess, is supposed to be kind of a sweet and spicy or savory kind of spread that you can use with like crackers and cheese and put some of this on it, put it out on a charcuterie board. Or you could also use it when you're making things like different meats. So I'm imagining making this with some kind of chicken dish and kind of like a marinade, but kind of not. But I think it'll be really yummy. So let's talk about what goes in here. So I've pre-chopped a lot of these ingredients. So the first thing I'm gonna add to this pot is the 4 cups of mangoes. Oh, we've got a runner. Okay. Oh no. Already off my start. Okay, and then after that, we are going to add this bowl, which has a 4th cup, I believe, of lemons. Let me just make sure. Yes, a 4th cup of lemons, half a cup of oranges, and half a cup of limes. These were not, the lemons and limes in particular, were not fun to peel, let me tell you. So we're dumping that in there. Then we're gonna add a cup of diced onions. Okay, we've got a cup of brown sugar, dark brown sugar. Then we're gonna add a cup of this apple cider vinegar. So I think in the other mango chutney video that I watched for Canuary, the person made some additions and I guess subtractions to the recipe, just some changes. And one of the things that she did was she left out the golden raisins. Now, since this is the first time we've ever had mango chutney and the first time I'm making it, I'm gonna follow the recipe to the T, and then maybe in the future I'll experiment and change things around, kind of like she did. But let's add 3/4 of a cup of these golden raisins. Whoa. Woo. Okay, we got 3 cloves of garlic in this 1 cup measuring cup. Then we're gonna do half a cup of molasses. So the store didn't actually have any ginger when we went, which was kind of wild to me. So I don't have fresh ginger to add to this, but I just did some Googling, and I believe from what I read, you can use ground ginger. It just needs to be 1/4 of the actual amount of fresh ginger that you would have used. So this says half a cup of fresh ginger chopped, and doing some calculations, I believe then a quarter of that would be 2 tablespoons of ground ginger. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to bring all of this to a boil over medium-high heat, and I'll check back in once we get there. Okay, so we have brought this up to a boil, and now that it's at a boil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the heat probably in between medium and low, and I'm going to let this just boil and simmer away over that heat for about 20 minutes. And in the book, it says specifically that you want to be stirring constantly here. So I'm going to just be doing that, and I'll come back and check in with you when we move on to the next step. Amazing. So we've gotten this we've gotten this boiling for our 20 minutes. My timer just went off, so I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next step, which is adding the last of the ingredients to this. So I'm adding 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro, 1 tablespoon of mustard seeds. That's what the recipe calls for, but I just used ground mustard. And from, again, looking online, I think it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So I put a tablespoon of ground mustard in there. There is a teaspoon of, it says hot pepper flakes. I did red pepper flakes. I think they're the same. A teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground allspice. So I'm going to throw all of this into our mixture here. And then I'm going to stir that in, and we are going to continue to let this boil gently, and we're going to keep stirring it, and we're going to wait until it gets thick enough to mound on a spoon. I don't know what that means, but it also says about 10 minutes. So maybe after 10 minutes, we'll put some on a spoon and see if it mounds. Or, we'll just go with the 10 minutes. Okay, I will be back once this has been going for 10 minutes. Okay, so this has finished up with its 10 minutes after adding the last couple of ingredients. And so I looked what mound up on a spoon means, and essentially my understanding is that when you take a scoop of the mixture on a spoon, it stays kind of raised up like a mound above the edges of the spoon and doesn't kind of run off. Now, because this is really chunky with the mangoes and the raisins and different stuff, it definitely does that, but I think it holds its shape pretty well, and is pretty gloopy. So I'm going to go ahead and call it good. So I'm going to move this over here so we can jar it up, get the water bath canner on the stove here heating up, and then I'll show you what we're going to do for the next couple of steps. Okay, so I have shifted you a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so I am going to be taking the jars out of my canner. I had them in there while the canner water was heating up so that the jars would be hot and sterile as well. And now I'm gonna put the mango chutney, the hot chutney, in those hot jars and debubble with my debubbler to get out any air that might be lurking in there. And I'm looking for 1/2 inch of headspace on each of these jars. So I am canning this up in pint jars, 1 pint jar and then 3 half pints. I am mainly doing that because I only had 3 half pints, but I think it'll be really nice for if we want to use crackers or with cheese or anything, we can use the smaller jars. If we're making an actual recipe, we can use the bigger pint jar. So once I get all of the mango chutney in the jars, I am going to use some vinegar to wipe off the rims and check for any cracks or dents or chips. And then once that's done, I'll put on the lids and screw the rings to fingertip tight. Okay, so I jarred those up and wiped the rims, twisted them down, got them all ready. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer them into the water bath canner, which is on high heat, heating up that water to a boil. It's already starting to simmer a little bit, so we should be just about there because I started with hot water already in there. So I did check online with the National Center for Home Food Preservation to make sure that I can be canning the mango chutney in both the small jars, the half pints, and then also the regular pints, because in the book it says it makes about 6 half pints. So I wasn't sure, but I wanted to can it up in both because I only have 3 of the small jars available right now. And so I looked online and they did have times for both. They are actually, regardless of the size, they are the same processing time. So for my elevation, which is above 1,000 feet, it is going to be, I believe, 15 minutes. Yes, it's going to be 15 minutes. And so I will go ahead and bring this canner up to a rolling boil, and then we'll go ahead and let it do that for 15 minutes, and then we'll cool it down and take the jars out. So I will not leave you hanging, and I will go ahead and show you me letting it cool down and taking the jars out at the end, but this is probably where I will say goodbye. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying what you're seeing. And then I will go ahead and also put another video, maybe one of these sides, I'll put a video where you can go ahead and watch another canning project that I did if that interests you. And let me know if you have made mango chutney before, and if you like it, how you like to use it. I'm very excited to figure out all the different ways we can use this. And until next time, stay grounded.